Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable.
Revolution.
First, what is a revolution?
Revolution is the solution, hey.
The motive of a revolution.
Well, now,
The objective of a revolution.
we televised.
And the result of a revolution. And the methods used in a revolution.
I know you know. Put my gun away. Never gonna put my gun away. Put my gun away. See them out, be better run away.
This generation of Americans has already had enough, more than enough, of war and hate and oppression.
Hello, Internet. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Saturday evening. I've got a lot of stuff I want to get into. I was going to talk about the Epstein stuff, but I'm not going to have time tonight. Maybe touch on it a little bit, but this whole Marjorie Taylor Greene situation is sort of taking priority, and it's on top of everything else that's going on with MAGA and the Republican Party. The whole America First versus MAGA situation, because that's what's going on now. It's two separate factions. America First used to be a core tenet of what MAGA was, if you ask me. And somehow that has split off into its own movement because the America Firsters are all getting attacked and smeared. And that includes politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Rand Paul. And then you've got America First commentators like Nick Fuentes, who was never really part of the movement because he wasn't allowed to be. He didn't even vote for Trump last time because he called what a lot of us are seeing now, and that was how much support he was getting from people like Miriam Adelson. And then you've got Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, who are getting smeared relentlessly. Trump hasn't. Scarlett, can you stop that? She's so rude. Trump hasn't directly attacked Tucker or Candace, I don't think, at least. But there's a massive smear campaign going on against them. And anybody else that has any sort of online influence that is speaking out against anything that Trump's doing, whether it be not releasing the Epstein Files, still funding foreign wars, endless money printing, H-1Bs, you name it. Any of those things. If you speak out against it, if you criticize Trump in any way, you will get smeared. And it's interesting what's going on right now. Because I thought we always said that the leftists were the cults. And they couldn't acknowledge that Biden was in office and he was essentially a corpse. And the wide open border, which Trump has taken care of, give him credit where credit is due. But the relentless defense of anything Joe Biden that the left would do, we'd say, it's such a cult because they refuse to admit that, he's what was the phrase? That he's sharp as a tack. Remember that phrase? He's sharp as a tack, and nobody would acknowledge that he had any sort of mental decline until after that second Trump debate that he did, and then everybody turned on him. Well, now you're seeing similar things going on with the right. In my opinion, the person that you vote for should be more criticized than the person that you didn't. You're just going to talk shit about, you disagree with everything that the person that you didn't vote for. You disagree with them on pretty much everything. So you're going to relentlessly criticize them. That's a given. But the person that you voted for very specific reasons and things that they campaigned on. And if they aren't living up to those expectations, if they're not doing the things that they said they were going to do, you should be criticizing them. And that apparently you aren't allowed to do anymore within MAGA. You just have to be lockstep. You can't be Thomas Massie. You have to be Lindsey Graham. And this whole thing is extremely frustrating. So that's a lot of what we're going to get into tonight. Wally World, nice to see you. If you guys are here, jump in the chat. Probably won't have as many people here tonight because I figure people are watching the UFC. I don't usually do my streams on Saturday nights. If you guys are over on Rumble, drop a comment in the chat. So I'm going to sort of just if the chat isn't too lively tonight, I'm just going to treat this as like a video that I uploaded. So let's get right into the whole Marjorie Taylor Greene situation, shall we? It's got me a little black pilled, I got to say. All right, so Trump came out last night and essentially disowned her, and it was I don't know if it was unexpected, but it was, I mean, sort of, yeah, I don't know if it was out of nowhere either, but it was, I wasn't expecting that to come last night. So Trump put out a statement last night on Truth Social. He says, I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and of the great state of Georgia over the last few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our own country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopped 8 wars, except the 2 that you said you were going to stop, right? Rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world, as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars, record-setting, invested in USA, and have created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago, and so much more. All I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance, unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore, but with 219 congressmen and women, 53 U.S. senators, and 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand that wonderful conservative people are talking about primarying Marjorie and Taylor in her district of Georgia, that they are too fed up with her and her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So, as you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a thank you, symbolic T. You scared me for a second. I just saw the audio and I was like, dude, was I speaking into a dead mic this whole time? Thank you for telling me. I should have asked before. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has been speaking out against H-1B visas. She's been speaking out against the Epstein Files and the release of the Epstein Files. And it is rather strange, the whole Epstein Files situation, which we're going to get into, but I'm not going to have time to dig into that stuff because more things have come out regarding that. Trump calling it a hoax. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting the treatment that Thomas Massie has been getting pretty much from the get-go, or at least since the big, beautiful bill. And I will not be surprised if somebody runs against her and Miriam Adelson donates $20 million to that opposing campaign. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If you aren't Israel first, if you ask me, everybody that is getting attacked and smeared right now all have one thing in common. And it seems to be the people that are America first, not Israel first. And the accounts that are all attacking, Tucker, Candace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, they all seem to have one thing in common as well. So Trump put out another statement after, and he just starts talking shit to Marjorie. He says, lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, green grass turns brown when it begins to rot, betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned off, performed poorly on the pathetic View, and became a rhino that we all know she always was. Just another fake politician, no different than Rand Paul Jr. Thomas Massie, Rand Paul Jr., he's calling Thomas Massie Rand Paul Jr., who got caught being a full-fledged Republican in name only, rhino. Well, I mean, Trump, when you first took that debate stage, when you had Little Marco, you had Jeb Bush up there, you had Rand Paul up there, I mean, weren't you Rhino means Republican in name only, if you guys don't know, like he just said. Well, you weren't exactly running as a traditional Republican back then. You were running against all of the status quo Republican forever war, endless money printing shenanigans. And now you seem to be embracing all of those old things that MAGA was built to fight against. It seems MAGA was full of disrespect. It was full of Republicans that were tired of all that shit. Obviously, it was full of libertarians. It was full of disaffected liberals. It was full of moderates, anti-war, pro-free speech people. And now you've seemed to embrace all of the old George Bush, Dick Cheney stuff that was going on back then. And I find it interesting. I find it extremely interesting that MAGA has seemingly been taken over by neocons. And that's what I'm observing, at least. All right, so we'll keep going. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's response. She says, President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send these text messages today. Apparently, this was what sent him over the edge. The Epstein Files. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's votes to release the Epstein Files. It's astonishing, really, how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein Files from coming out, that he actually goes to this level. But really, most Americans wish he would fight this hard to help the forgotten men and the women of America who are fed up with the foreign wars and foreign causes and going broke trying to feed their families and are losing hope of ever achieving the American dream. That's what I voted for. I have supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought hard for him, even when almost all other Republicans turned their back and denounced him. But I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship God. Jesus is my savior, and I serve my district of Georgia 14 and the American people. I remain the same today as I've always been, and I will continue to pray this administration will be successful because the American people desperately deserve what they voted for. For me, I remain America first and America only. And you guys might have saw Matt Walsh put out a post about how America should be America first, America only, and he started getting attacked by these same people. If Matt continues down this path, I will be very surprised if he maintains his position at the Daily Wire. He'll go the way of Candace. At least we'll see. So these are the screenshots. These are the text messages. So this is, I believe this, yeah, okay. So this is her text message to him. It says, check the flight logs of Epstein's plane. Bill Clinton is on there like 26 times. Hillary too. For many of us, releasing the Epstein Files has always been for the women who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, but also because we believe that Democrat bad guys like the Clintons were entangled and involved with him. Epstein was the spider that wove the web of the deep state. Lean into it. And then she's got another one. So that was yesterday. That was yesterday at around noon. So then she's got another one. And notice how this one is in green. So Trump responded, all caps, the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Insane. Why does it say Natalie up there, though? That's weird. NH. Why does it say Natalie? Okay, whatever. So it says, in every single interview I have done, I have defended President Trump. Is this from a different person? What the heck? Why does it say Natalie up there? Anyway, in every single interview I have done, I have defended President Trump. I've said over and over, the women said he did nothing wrong, and their attorney says he's the only one who helped. And Democrats had 4 years to release the files, but did nothing. Stop ignoring the women. Many of them literally voted for President Trump and say so publicly. Them being raped as teenagers is a hoax. Oops, I just said the R word. I'm not supposed to. Eric Abinante, how many miles did you run today? I only got in 50. I can't run right now, bro. I told you my foot's messed up. It sucks. So I'm just, I'm lifting weights, bro. That's what I'm doing instead. Kettlebell swings and dumbbells and stuff. I hate it. I can't freaking stand it. Today was perfect weather to run into. Don't get me distracted, bro. We're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene here. All right. So It seems that, so it seems like the feud is official. They have officially fallen out. All right, so let's go over to a quick clip from Tucker Carlson talking with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And let's see. There's a lot more to go here. I want to try and get through this as fast as possible because there's a couple other things that I want to talk about that sort of fall into the same category. All right, so this is a clip from Tucker Carlson's show with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So Massie has gotten in a fight, like a personal fight with the president. And unfortunately, I think it has gotten personal. I should say I don't agree with Massie's more libertarian than I am. But of all the members other than you of the Congress that I know a lot of them, he's the most principled. He's also a thoroughly decent man, like actually. And his personal life, and I know a lot about it, is like one of the most impressive things I've ever heard. He is self-reliant in the most American sense. This is a guy who lives off-grid in a house he built himself, and every one of his votes is a vote on principle. So I don't know how you couldn't admire a guy like that. I get that he annoys the president personally, got it. But I don't think there are many people in the country who live out Donald Trump's own stated principles more precisely than Thomas Massie does. What the hell is going on that he is a target, but Lindsey Graham has an endorsement? And by the way, I just want to say clearly, I will do everything I possibly can to make sure Lindsey Graham is not reelected. Not because I like Lindsey Graham personally, he's a super charming, nice guy. But if Lindsey Graham continues to get elected, then the whole MAGA thing is totally fake. It's just fake. So, like, what is this?
Oh, thanks, Wally World. So Wally World says Natalie is Trump's executive assistant. I wonder why she went from texting him directly to, because the first one says DJT and the next one says Natalie. So I wonder if he just said, I'm not dealing with her anymore and made the executive assistant deal with him. So that's funny. All right. So, she talks about like same thing. Like, why is MAGA embracing Lindsey Graham principles over Thomas Massie principles? And they'll say, oh, Thomas Massie, they can never count on him for the vote. Why? Because he didn't want to vote for the big, beautiful bill. Like, it had everything in it. Yeah, including an extra $1 billion for the Pentagon, for their black budget. Like, all Thomas Massie was trying to get was a 1% decrease in spending, and he couldn't get it. It's, if you ask Thomas Massie, hey, why didn't you vote on this particular bill? He's never going to have some bullshit reason. He's always got a very principled and well-reasoned response for why he didn't vote on a particular bill. And it's usually because there's either money going to nonsense, money he can't track, or money going to foreign wars. That's usually what it's all about. It's usually economic policy that he goes against. We'll keep going here. So this is just some of the responses from the typical accounts on X. So you got Vince Langman, who's, like, all of these people are very similar to like Cat Turd and Laura Loomer. So this dude says, Marjorie Taylor Greene is to Liz Cheney what Thomas Massie is to Adam Kinzinger. You know what's hilarious? Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger were J6 hysteria people. And Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene were some of the only people that stood by Trump after J6 and stuck up for J6ers. I mean, Massie's still trying to figure out who planted that damn pipe bomb, which I might talk about a little bit later and go to that article from The Blaze. It seems that they used software to look at the gait, how somebody walks, and they seemed to have identified a Capitol Police officer that later got hired by the CIA, that they think, a female Capitol Police officer, that they think planted the pipe bomb. But if they're wrong about it, they're going to get massively sued. But that story just disappeared. So that's kind of weird too. So yeah, they're comparing Marjorie Taylor Greene to Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. But those two didn't stand by Trump. They tried to throw him under the bus. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie did. You know who else didn't stand by Trump? Lindsey Graham, the guy he was golfing with today. So here's Vince Langman again. He just says, I voted for mean tweets about Thomas Massie on a Friday night. So this was from last night. Donald Trump says, this is the stuff that's pissing me off because this is just gross. So if you don't know, Thomas Massie just got remarried. Yes, the woman is very younger, a lot younger than Thomas Massie. And apparently they've known each other for a very long time. And Donald Trump says, did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him less than 8% chance of winning in the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas. And his wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. Like, I mean, Trump's always been brash and, said like distasteful things, but usually they're at least funny. This is just like Vince Langman thinks it's funny, but I mean, you're talking shit to a guy about how he remarried a year and a half after his wife died. And Thomas Massie was not the same person after his wife died. He was broken up and devastated. My dog's rolling around on the floor on her back right now. She wants attention. So that's just kind of gross, him attacking Massie. And then you've got Laura Loomer. And Laura Loomer says, serious question and serious answers only. How did Rep. Thomas Massie's wife die? Is there a police report? Is there an autopsy? Why is this such a mystery? I'd like to know. I find it so bizarre and always have. There's a much younger woman in the picture. So she seems to be implying that Thomas Massie had something to do with the murder. And she was criticizing Candace Owens, like everybody else was criticizing Candace Owens, saying that Candace Owens was suggesting that Erica Kirk had something to do with Charlie's murder. When she wasn't, she replied to somebody that said Erica knows everything. She wasn't talking about the details of Charlie Kirk's murder. She was talking about the inner workings of TPUSA and the shady things that were going on behind the scenes. And Candace also came out and said, if Erica specifically asked me to stop talking about this stuff, I would. So, I mean, there are people that think that Erica Kirk might have had something to do with it. I don't. There's people that think that Erica Kirk was sort of put into Charlie's orbit on purpose to sort of be his handler. Could that be possible? Sure. Do I necessarily think that's the case? I don't know. I don't know. But the point is, it was like beyond the pale for Candace to not suggest it. They claim that she did. They claim that Candace suggested that Erica Kirk had something to do with Charlie's death when she didn't claim that. And now she's insinuating that Thomas Massie had something to do with his wife's death. It's incredible. I mean, after Massie's wife died, Thomas Massie had been speaking out against AIPAC a lot. There's a lot of people speculating that maybe a foreign nation had something to do with his wife's death. But Thomas Massie has never alluded to that. And I don't know the details behind her death or what happened, but that's just gross coming from Laura Loomer. Natalie Wally World, Natalie Harp. Okay, that's his executive assistant. Okay, Josh Pitts. Do you think, Josh? What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene could run for president if she keeps making these America First moves? I don't know if she would, but I actually think that Marjorie Taylor Greene matches up better. Let's assume Gavin Newsom's going to get the Democrat nomination. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene matches up better than against Gavin Newsom than JD Vance does, especially if this administration keeps going the route it does and losing people in the middle, losing the America First crowd, losing a lot of the people that came over to vote for him that aren't necessarily Republicans. And Marjorie Taylor Greene she talks a lot about healthcare. She does talk a lot about the America First stuff. There are people on the left that like her. And they try to use that against her because there's people on the left that like her for some reason, whatever. So yeah, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene's would match up against Gavin Newsom better than JD Vance would. So I do think that. Would she run? I don't know. Tim Dillon seems to think that she would. All right, let's keep going here. This is Will Chamberlain, who I used to like, but turned out to be a massive scumbag. So he's reposting the redheaded libertarian here, Josie, who's often on Timcast. Many of you, I'm sure, know who she is. Josie says, Thomas Massie votes with Republicans 91% of the time and has an A-rated Liberty score. Lindsey Graham votes with foreign interests 100% of the time and has an F-rated Liberty score. So Will Chamberlain reposts her. He quote posts her and says, "Yes, because when Trump needed the votes for the one big beautiful bill which funded his entire agenda, Massie was a no. I don't care how you vote on random resolutions honoring Ludwig von Rothbard. I care if you vote to fund mass deportation or not." It wasn't just funding mass deportation. Again, it gave an extra $1 billion to the Pentagon to do whatever with. Like, who knows where that money's going to go? And Massie is about reducing spending, because I don't know if you guys know, but we are in a massive everything bubble right now. Like, shit is going to be, if you look at all of the metrics, everything, credit card debt, the housing market, default rates, things are, the signals right now for there being another massive collapse are off the charts. I don't know if you guys pay attention to any economists like Michael Burry. I guess you can't call him economist. He's a hedge fund guy. He runs a hedge fund. He's the one that predicted the big. He's the one that did The Big Short. The guy, pretty much the one-eyed guy from The Big Short movie. He's the one that initially predicted that the housing market's going to fail, and the CDOs, the collateralized debt obligations, were going bust because they were filled with all these subprime mortgages. People were speculating on them like crazy. They even had crazy offshoots of them, like synthetic CDOs, all sorts of crazy shit. It was just massive speculating. It was investment banks basically creating their own money. You know, you don't just need the Federal Reserve to print money. You can print money if you're a bank too, essentially, using these techniques, if you will. So Michael Burry is shorting. What is he short? He's shorting. Oh crap! I just found out about it. There's a lot of people saying that we are in a massive bubble and shit's about to hit the fan. The only way out of this is to drastically cut spending, drastically cut the money printing, reduce the money supply. And the things they use, the quantitative easing, the reducing interest rates to pull us out of the 2008, 2009 recession, those tools aren't going to work this time. You can't reduce interest rates. You can't just endlessly print money. You just did back in 2020. So Thomas Massie sees this as the biggest danger to American society right now. And they're just, here, nope, money printer go burr, got to fund all these things. So yeah, Thomas Massie is highly concerned about the economy, and that's why he's voting no on this stuff, yet nobody seems to see that. Let's keep going here. All right. If you guys watching over on Rumble, leave a comment. If you guys watching over on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're on X, go ahead and repost this stream. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, let's keep going here. So this is from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She takes, this is from Congressman Troy E. Nels. He's the congressman. He's out of Texas, 22nd District. So Congressman Troy E. Nels says, I will be voting no on the Epstein hoax. The Democrats are using the Epstein hoax to distract us from the winning of President Trump and his administration. My message to the Republican colleagues, don't let this noise keep us from delivering on the mandate the American people gave us. President Trump, I stand with you in the fight to save America. I'm not going to let this hoax manufactured by Democrats slow us down. Incredible. Incredible. A lot of people like myself voted for Trump because they wanted to see the deep state be destroyed. Who is one of the key figures within the deep state that there's so many secrets behind? Epstein. And then you got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino the whole time leading up to this, talking about, don't forget about the Epstein files. Don't let them get away. Don't let them bury this thing. And now they have completely flipped the script to saying there's no there. It's absurd. So Marjorie Taylor Greene here says, the ratio on this post serves as the ultimate warning to all of my Republican colleagues. You vote no on Tuesday to release the Epstein Files and face severe outrage from America. Republicans don't have support from women, and this right here is a perfect example of why. And so there's another thing. All of these neocons that are cheering for Trump going against Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie and Tucker and Candace and all the others, they seem to be so happy that they're kicking a bunch of people out of their big tent, that they call it. There's no chance that Republicans aren't going to get absolutely crushed in the midterms with what they're doing right now. And they think it's some sort of win. Like, do you think you have any support from the left? No. You're getting rid of, at a minimum, 10% of your support with all of this shit that you're doing. I think it's more like half of your support is going to turn against you with all of this stuff. Personally, that's what I think. I could be completely misreading this, but I don't think I am. Okay, so one of the smears that's going against Marjorie Taylor Greene right now that they're pointing out, that a bunch of different people are pointing out, and I mean, this has merit to it, and I won't defend it, but Marjorie Taylor Greene has responded to it. So this is from commentary, Donald J. Trump post from Truth Social, this guy. He says, Marjorie Taylor, and everybody's reposting this. All of the usual suspects are talking about this. And it just came out like today. All of a sudden, everybody's talking about this. Where, how long has this been a thing? So Marjorie Taylor Greene's net worth was $700,000 when she took office in Congress. And then in just 4 years is now $25 million today. Which, I mean, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That is not a good sign. Politicians aren't supposed to get rich while they're in office. That's not supposed to be a thing. So then you've got John Jackson says the same thing. Her net worth was $700,000 starting when she took office, and now it's $25 million. All right, and then he holds up this chart showing like how much money people have made here. It shows Marjorie Taylor Greene is plus 38% in the stock market. So I believe Grok fact checked this. And it looks like she's made like 10 grand in stocks, or 10 mil, in stocks, which, I mean, yeah, that looks like insider trading to me, but we'll listen to Marjorie's response to this. And I'm not defending that, but it's strange how all of a sudden everybody's talking about that now when they could have been talking about this weeks ago, but they decided to wait until Trump turned on her. So it seems like they were perfectly okay with it before, but now that she is persona non grata, they are going to hold this over her head. Scarlett, don't do it. Stop it. She's growling. She sees something outside. All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I'm fed up with the outright slander and lies about me because I'm unapologetically America first, and I'm demanding AIPAC register as a foreign lobbyist, and I refuse to vote for U.S. taxpayers' hard-earned money to fund foreign aid and foreign wars. I owned my family's construction business for well over 2 decades, and I made all of my net worth before I became a member of Congress in 2021, and all of my public financial disclosures show this. So she's saying that she was wealthy before she came in. So I don't know. Grok seems to verify. Grok seems to say that, no, she went from $700,000 net worth up to $25 million. So I don't know. You guys fact check this on your own. My publicly disclosed portfolio is diversely invested through a financial manager whom I have assigned a fiduciary contract with. My hard-earned wealth that I am thankful and proud of has not in any way come from politics. As a matter of fact, I made a hell of a lot more money, and my life was way easier before I entered public life. I am so proud of my company's success and hard work, and there is not anyone who can shame me for being a successful business owner, because thankfully I lived the American dream. You can go to hell. I am fighting to ensure that my children's generation is able to do exactly what I have done. I'm fighting to preserve the American dream. All right, so you can see this is from this account here, Eyal Yakaboy. This guy, and I mean, I caught him in a lie earlier. He said this account shipwreck. I don't know if you guys know that account, but she's constantly posting videos or like TikTok style videos. I think it's on TikTok as well. She lives in like Idaho or something. Clearly lives in the Midwest. Is clearly American. He just said this company, this account is out of Pakistan. Like, bro, we can verify this stuff. And so, like, I don't trust anything this guy says too. And let's say it's true. Let's say her net worth did balloon from 700,000 to 21 million today. I don't like that. Smells like insider trading. I don't like that at all. That's why I don't like it with Nancy Pelosi. I don't like it with Dan Crenshaw. I don't like it with anybody doing it. But why is it now an issue? Why were you okay with it before? And now all of a sudden you're not okay with it. So I was never okay with it. I didn't know this was a thing. I'm still not sure that it is. I'd like to hear Marjorie talk about it more, and I'd like to see a better breakdown of the alleged money laundering or inside trading or whatever they're suggesting. All right, so this is from Heather Mullins. She says, what is going on? Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene campaigned for Trump hardcore. I was there. She fought for innocent J6 hostages that were being abused in jail. She fought for election integrity. Meanwhile, Rhino Lindsey Graham got booed at Trump rallies because he gets an endorsement and but he gets the endorsement and she doesn't. And then she takes a screenshot of Lindsey Graham's post back in this is actually in 2016. So Lindsey Graham says, if we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we will deserve it. So Trump was always, Lindsey Graham was always never Trump. So many of these people that are now saying what MAGA is and all the people that need to be kicked out of the MAGA tent, they were all never Trump people, like Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, who supported DeSantis. All of these people they never were for Trump until he became president and gained power. And then they all abandoned him after January 6th, except Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was always on the Trump train. It's actually sad to see what's happening right now. All right, we're actually making pretty good time here. So Clint Russell over here. Clint says, Trump launched nukes at Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene this morning while golfing with Lindsey Graham. Trump is telling you exactly who he is. Please listen. This is just a picture of him and Lindsey Graham playing golf. So that Lindsey Graham says, I had a great day playing golf with President Trump. So much fun today at the Trump Graham Golf Classic. That benefit the Republican cause greatly. So Trump and Lindsey Graham, best friends again. That's how it goes. All right. So one more post from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She says, I am now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world, the man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who were radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me now. This time by the President of the United States. As a woman, I take threats from men seriously. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, his aggression against me also fuels the venomous nature of these radical internet trolls, many of whom are paid. This is completely shocking to everyone. My phone is blowing up with constant, amazing support. I'm so thankful. The political industrial complex and the toxic, violent nature of American politics must end. Our country is worth saving, and it can only be done if we pull together and save ourselves. All right. So I got a kind of a longer clip that I want to play. And since I'm making good time, I have time to play the whole thing. So this is like an 8-minute clip. I'll be pausing it and interjecting as it goes on. But this is Tucker talking about, like, this is kind of weird. This is before this attack on Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's like, isn't it kind of weird? All of the inorganic attacks that are happening right now, if you don't completely support the Israel first agenda right now, because that is what this is all about. Israel first, Epstein. If you're trying to get the Epstein Files released, if you are trying to get funding for Israel to stop, you are getting attacked right now. And both of those are America First principles, but apparently that's not allowed in the Republican Party anymore. So let's watch this clip from Tucker.
If you see or hear voices that are dissenting from the official storyline, they're going to have to be silenced or eliminated. I mean,
Well, look at what happened. Look at the ambushes that occurred when Thomas Massie, who I think is great, Rand Paul, who I think has matured immensely, and who is the third Republican who stepped away from the narrative, and all of a sudden the attacks were relentless. Now, that could just be Trump being Trump.
It wasn't just Trump attacking them, though.
I know.
Marjorie
Taylor Greene, who, by the way, is nowhere near as stupid. I mean, she's not even stupid.
Oh, I know.
She ran a construction company.
Oh, I know. And her, she just doesn't have whatever that normal, the fear that controls people in D.C. Where like, I can't.
But how do you turn on Thomas Massie? Marjorie Taylor Greene at least played a role in kayfabe that you could imagine drawing fire. Massie's this guy, you know, who built his own house and fixes his own car, and he's an engineer. He's
America first, more America first than Trump at this point.
Archetype of who we ought to be
as a country. I so vehemently agree.
And they
with that.
turned on him.
Yeah, well, I haven't.
We know why they turned on him.
Texted with him this morning. No, I mean, you know, you could say I disagree with Thomas Massie, but if you think Thomas Massie is the problem,
you are the problem.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Just because, first of all, he's a decent man, which always matters to me, and I think it should matter to all of us. You could, you know, give Thomas Massie a routing number, and he's not going to take $1. He's just not. He's not going to.
The only one without a handler.
That's true. And I think we should admire that, even if you think that all members of Congress should be required to have handlers. It's okay to live in a world where one doesn't. That's what I find so.
Well, it's not okay to live in a world where everyone else does.
No, I agree with you, but I just find what's so interesting, and there's a religious quality to all of these conversations that I find so striking. It's like, it's okay if you have, you know, all this power, all this money, if you're running the U.S. government or whoever you are with a lot of power. You know, you can afford to have some percentage of the population not play along. Like, it doesn't need to be an Albanian election in 1982. Like, you can have some dissent.
Unless you're an authoritarian state.
I guess that's right. I mean, but even in an effective authoritarian state, in Saudi Arabia, in the Emirates, these are, you know, basically theocracies. They don't agree with that, but they, you know, these are Islamic states under Sharia law. You can kind of dissent. It's okay. You just can't do anything really threatening, of course.
Right.
But more dissent is allowed in Abu Dhabi than in DC. I just find that just absolutely incredible. Yeah. Like, what is this? Why can't they allow Thomas Massie to just like have his own Massie views? And
he's a vote.
He's a vote, okay, but you got hundreds of others. Like, I just think it's weird. There's this desire to make sure that nobody sings off the song sheet. Like, and that person must be killed. And I don't enforce that among my own children.
So,
do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I absolutely know.
It's bizarro.
We used to allow opposing views.
Yeah, I mean, look, if someone is really a threat to the system, well, I think that should be allowed personally, because the people in the government.
Depends on in what way, but yes.
In what way? I have a very wide strike zone for that. But I get it if the system is like, I'm sorry, you're an actual threat, we have to kill you. Okay, systems exist to preserve themselves. I understand that. What I really can't even comprehend is someone out there in a place I've never been and never will go among 350 million people is making a noise that I disagree with. I must crush him. What is that? That's just weird to me.
So it's Marjorie, this whole thing is the Epstein Files, the push to release the Epstein Files. Why is Trump calling it a hoax? And why is he being so guarded about it? Why did they do the fake binder release a bunch of months back? Why did Kash Patel and Jan Bongino constantly talk about how this is everything? Don't let this go, leading up to Trump getting in office. And as soon as they're put into the FBI, now it's like, nope, nothing to see here. Why? This is so bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Greene's not even voting against Trump on the majority of things. But all of a sudden, because she's pushing for the Epstein Files to be released, they're completely turning on her. Again, one of the only people that stuck by Trump after January 6th, that was all about Trump the whole time. Diehard MAGA. Now she's being ousted from the whole movement. It's so organic and it's so freaking gross.
Why are you going to the effort to shut down all dissent?
I don't know, but
that's
what's happening.
Oh, I know.
Not to swing the topic yet again. Let me get back to the universities. People don't understand universities. There are people who do, obviously, but the average person doesn't. So people are going to say I'm talking my book. Let me take this opportunity with your gargantuan following to explain how universities work.
Well, let me just say before you begin that I'm amazed by the broadness of your thinking, right or wrong. You're certainly thinking thoughts that most people don't allow themselves to think. And you are a tenured professor at an Ivy League college and you still have your job, apparently. So that does say something.
It would be hard to fire me.
Apparently.
I mean, part of the problem is one of the reasons I got canceled is because I twice fought unionizations.
Yeah.
And the first time was at the request of the dean of faculty. Second time was at the request of the provost, of late night phone call. You got to fight this. You got to put together a team. And that's the now president. And so if they fired me, that group was sort of behind my cancellation. So firing me would have been hard because, witness number one would be, did you ask Column to fight the unions? And did that lead to, them canceling him and stuff like that? I really think Cornell's great. I think most universities are fine. We needed a fastball past our chin. Great example, Claudine Gay. Shouldn't be president of Harvard, shouldn't be on the faculty, shouldn't have a PhD, in my opinion. That is the sign of the rot that has gotten into the universities, but that it's still an exceptional rot. So I don't see people at Cornell that look like Claudine Gay to me. And if you actually look in the whole DEI thing, you say, well, universities are super duper DEI. And I go, you guys are forgetting that a year ago or 2 years ago, if you weren't DEI, you got destroyed. The whole system was geared up to make sure you paid dearly if you weren't DEI. So you had to have your deans of diversity, and the world was demanding it. And don't forget, this is a world where biological men were competing in women's sports. They still kind of are, but at least it's now starting to dissipate. And that was considered totally normal and was considered rational. And if you fought it, you get fired and things like that. So
I think what he's getting at here is the thing that's happening on the right now. If you don't completely fall in line with whatever's being pushed, no matter how crazy it is, you are going to be canceled and kicked out of the club, just like the left did. So now, if you're pushing for the Epstein Files, which are just a hoax, there's no there, you are going to get kicked out of the club as well. I think that's what he's pointing out, that the people on the right are doing the same thing that they did on the left. Ironically, those people that are doing it on the right are calling the people that they're attempting to cancel the woke right when they're the ones doing woke tactics.
The universities were simply responding. Now, they'd gotten way left wing. My colleagues were all hired based on their skills, guaranteed. I'd remember a case if it was a DEI hire. I remember a case because I would have fought it. I would have screamed. I don't shut up on things like that. We try to find the best person in the world to hire, and we go for that person if we can. And we do pretty well. And so if you were on a campus, you wouldn't see what we're hearing about. I don't think. You'd walk around the campus, everything just looks pretty normal.
So you're in the hardest of the hard sciences, though. Do you think
that's the problem? If I walked over the art squad, I'd see some Looney Tunes, right? And we're now destroyed. The cost of an education is too high to waste it. And so if you're going to spend $300,000, you can't go into a career that you make $40,000 or that you make $25,000 because you're a barista.
Yeah.
Right. It's just no longer even viable. So you have to. So colleges, if I were president of Cornell, I'd put together an elite committee of people I absolutely trusted and say, you guys are in charge of trying to figure out where we should be in 20 years and how to get there. Because we can't be here in 20 years.
All right. I thought he was going to get back to an overall point relating that back to Marjorie Taylor Greene, but that's okay. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about regarding the Trump and the Marjorie Taylor Greene situation. But it's It's frustrating because there's absolutely 100% a fracture in MAGA right now. A lot of people are saying MAGA is dead. And a lot of people said that exact phrase the last few days, and it sort of looked inorganic, but I think it was just people like parroting each other. But is MAGA dead? Like, what is MAGA anymore? If MAGA is not America first, then what is MAGA? Is MAGA just the neocon party now, and America first is the old MAGA? Like, what's really going on? Because all of the people that are just lockstep in what Trump's doing are parroting the Epstein hoax shit. They're all about giving Israel everything that they want. So what is it? Is MAGA dead? I don't know. It's starting to seem like it is to me. All I know is I'm America first. So something else weird that's going on is there's more Tucker stuff. Tucker just released this little mini documentary on the Thomas Crooks situation. And it is interesting. It was very interesting because, I mean, from the get-go, the whole thing was weird, right? The Thomas Crooks situation, like, how is he able to get on that roof? How is he able to fly a drone around leading up to the event and just nobody noticed him? Didn't he have bomb-making materials in his car? Appeared in a BlackRock commercial. Like, all this stuff had no digital footprint whatsoever. They scrubbed the silverware at his house. Like, we know nothing about this guy. Even now, till this day, we know nothing about this guy. Trump's in office now. Why don't we? This is the guy that tried to assassinate him. Why does it seem like Trump is helping the FBI cover up the very person that tried to shoot him? I don't get it. It's so bizarre to me. I'm not saying that Trump is trying to cover up the Thomas Crooks thing, but why isn't he talking about it all the time? Who the hell tried to kill me? Was like, is it just, oh, well, he did it by himself. You know, all this stuff. He was just a lone shooter. Nothing to see here. Like, is that what this all was? I'm not buying it. It seems like that, like, from the get-go, I wasn't buying the whole Thomas Crooks situation. And now it seems that there's a lot more to the story than we originally told. So let's go over to, again, Tucker Carlson, because he put out a little mini documentary, and I highly suggest all you guys watch it. It's only like, I don't know, 45 minutes long, 30 minutes long, something like that. But I'll play a few clips from it, and we'll talk about it. Just you guys let me know what you think. So this is a quick, like, 45-second clip.
These are videos the FBI has worked hard to make sure you haven't seen. They're from the Google Drive account of Thomas Crooks, the man who on July 13th, 2024, showed up at the Butler County, Pennsylvania fairgrounds and tried to assassinate the frontrunner, Donald Trump.
Take a look at what happened.
That day, Thomas Crooks came within a quarter inch of destroying this country. And yet, a year and a half later, we still know almost nothing about him or why he did it. That's because, for some reason, the FBI, even the current FBI, doesn't want us to know.
All right, I got another clip that I want to play. I got two more clips that I want to play, actually. This one's a little bit longer, but let's watch this one. Same documentary.
Is that on the day of the attacks, Thomas Crooks got extremely lucky. Miraculously lucky. After he arrived at the Butler County Fairgrounds on the morning of the shooting, Thomas Crooks conducted surveillance by flying his drone over the rally site. He flew that drone for 11 minutes. It just so happened the Secret Service's anti-drone system were down at exactly the same moment. What are the odds? Later that afternoon, police officers saw Crooks loitering with a backpack and a rangefinder. They identified him as a suspicious person, which he clearly was, but quickly lost track of him.
How does that happen? How is he, first of all, allowed to fly the drone around? And then you see the kid with the backpack and he's got a rangefinder? Like, that's red flags to anybody, much less the Secret Service. And they just let him wander around. No big deal.
And so Crooks climbed to the top of the American Glass
You guys see this water tower in the background here, up in the top of the screen? A lot of people speculate that there was somebody that shot from the water tower. So I don't know. There's video of it. Looks like there's somebody up there, but I don't know. This was speculation back in the day.
Research building. That happened to be the only building in the area that did not have a video surveillance system. It was also, remarkably, inexplicably, outside the Secret Service's security perimeter, despite the fact it was very close to the stage. 2 local police officers assigned to the building saw Crooks, but they didn't report him. A third officer who was supposed to be there left early. At 6.
The infamous slanted roof, remember? That's what the director of the Secret Service said. Oh yeah, we didn't have guys up there because the roof was so slanted. Even though after they shot Thomas Crooks, he didn't even fall off because the roof wasn't even that slanted. Let's keep going. I got one more clip. This one's a bit longer. Yeah, and I'm going to play the whole thing. So let's watch one more clip. Same documentary. I think you guys should all go watch this if you haven't, because there's a lot of very funny things about the attempted Trump assassination.
Here's what we do know. The digital comments we obtained were posted between 2019 and 2020, when Thomas Crooks was between 15 and 17 years old. They show 2 things. First, that Thomas Crooks was not some secretive lone wolf who never warned anyone that he was planning violence, just the opposite.
Oh yeah, this one's really weird. I'll let Tucker explain, but basically they said there's no digital footprint. There absolutely was. And you look at all his YouTube comments, and at first he was a hardcore Trumper. And then all of a sudden he flipped to seemingly becoming a leftist, like overnight.
Years before he showed up in Butler, Crooks was leaving a detailed digital trail of violent threats, including calls for assassinations and political violence. Second, they show a man who started out as a radical Trump supporter, whose views on the president changed completely during COVID. The FBI lied about that fact and pretended that Crooks was a right-winger. At 11:35 p.m. on July 19th, 2019, in response to an MSNBC video, Crooks wrote, quote, Ilhan Omar and others are invaders and should honestly be killed and their dead bodies sent back. At 1:17 a.m. on July 20th, 2019, Crooks commented on a CNN video. He said Donald Trump was the literal definition of patriotism. 7 hours later, he commented on an MSNBC video. He wrote, I hope a quick, painful death to all the deplorable immigrants and anti-Trump congresswomen who don't deserve anything this country has given them. That evening, on a separate MSNBC video, he wrote, quote, every one of the Trump-hating Democrats deserve to have their heads chopped off and put on stakes for the world to see what happens when you fuck with America.
So clearly, a hardcore Trumper and extreme, where he's dangerous at this point, making threats, repeated threats in support of Donald Trump. And then it changes.
These sorts of comments continued for months and became increasingly violent. The following day, Crooks responded to a CBS Evening News video about the squad saying this, quote, this is going to be blatantly racist, but I hope Trump has these people murdered. Crooks openly called for dictatorship and putting, quote, Hispanics back in their place. He warned that if Democrats win in 2020, quote, they won't be in there for long because unlike the Dems, we have guns and lots of them. In one comment, Crooks noted that, quote, 50 million Americans with AR-15s will make quick work of any blockades the government can put in to protect the White House.
Here's another question. YouTube has very strict community guidelines rules. How was his account allowed to stay active with repeated calls for violence and death threats? How was his account allowed to stay up?
He left multiple references to Mao Zedong's famous line, the only real political power comes from the barrel of a gun. On September 30th, 2019, Crooks responded to comments about a potential civil war, saying this, most rioters don't bring assault rifles and body armor like we would, and we wouldn't be going to the streets, we'd be going to Washington. At this point, one user named HyperPandas responded saying, quote, law enforcement will thank you for grouping up and being so visible. It'll make your arrest so much simpler. Crooks responded saying, cops can't arrest me if they're all dead. Before adding, even an untrained man with an AR-15 is dangerous. You think Adam Lanza or any school shooter trained? Nope.
So again, how was his account allowed to stay up? He's saying that he would kill cops if they came to get him. See, I'm worried about my show getting kicked off of YouTube just from some of the things I've said in this show talking about Thomas Crooks' comments. And I also said the R word that you're not supposed to say on YouTube earlier on accident. I'm worried about my account getting taken down. He's making outright calls for violence and death threats, but his account is allowed to stay up. Why?
If you navigate to that YouTube page today, you can still see identical contextual comments and people referring to Thomas Crooks, including one user who wrote this: "You're on YouTube threatening to shoot government officials. I sure hope the FBI is monitoring social media for violent nutcases." That exchange is still available on Internet Archive websites. But the FBI didn't see that before the shooting? That's hard to believe. On various occasions, Crooks openly said things like, Mueller should be hanged along with the rest of the Democrats involved in that witch hunt, and I always believed being patriotic was lining up a bunch of socialist Jews, like the ones who booed Trump, and blasting their useless brains out with an AR. And yet, in early 2020, Crooks seemed to change radically. On January 23rd of that year, he referred to, quote, Trump's stupidity. He began to mock the concept of the deep state. He suggested it was a code word used by Trump supporters for, quote, anyone who disagrees with the right wing. Suddenly, he sounded like an MSNBC commentator. In February of 2020, he called out Trump supporters as, quote, too brainwashed to realize how dumb you are. I mean, literally, you guys sound like a cult at times. That same day, he called Trump and his supporters, quote, racist. It was an amazing transformation.
So he's calling people racist now all of a sudden when he just previously left a comment that said this is going to be outwardly racist, and he made a whole bunch of racist comments before that. What the hell? Did somebody else start running this account? What happened? Why the change? This is bizarre.
That April, during the peak phase of the coronavirus lockdowns, Crooks wrote, quote, it seems that you people don't understand that sometimes public safety comes before your personal rights. Are you not willing to quarantine one member of your family to save the rest? If so, you are not a patriot and you aren't protecting anything.
So now he's a branch Covidian? How did this happen? What the hell changed? So this is all pre-COVID. He was a radical right-winger, and then all of a sudden COVID happens and he becomes basically a leftist. What happened?
Around this time, the new left-wing version of Thomas Crooks became very critical of conservative media. He said at one point, quote, going to a Chinese New Year's party in America isn't putting you at risk for coronavirus, because, believe it or not, viruses don't spread through race like Tucker Carlson probably told you. That May, as state officials across the country overhauled election systems to promote mail-in voting, Crooks attacked Republican concerns about voter fraud as, quote, ignorant. 4 months later, in August 2020, his tone had shifted even further to the left. He said, quote, I believe the outcome will be irrelevant. In response to the same video, Thomas Crooks issued what sounds a lot like a digital manifesto. Quote, in my opinion, the only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. Sneak a bomb into an essential building and set it off before anyone sees you. Track down any important people or politicians, military leaders, etc., and try to assassinate them. Any sort of head-to-head fight is suicide, and even ambush or surprise attacks likely aren't going to end well.
Keep in mind, this is all before January 6th, and this is all before the Trump assassination attempt, obviously. That's weird. Planting the B word, like they had a pipe bomb on January 6th, these things suggesting that they plant those political assassinations, like the one he attempted on Donald Trump. That's weird.
These remarks were especially notable because they came at the final phase of Crooks's YouTube commenting. At that point, a new character emerged into the conversation, a user named Willie Tepes, who started pressuring Crooks to commit violence. For example, quote, if a gun and a badge is all that is needed, then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. There is no way we can avoid a war at this point, so you better just get used to the idea. We have nothing to lose and everything to win. And the alternative, a global police state, is unacceptable. Nothing in life is simple, but that is no argument against doing it. So who is this Willie Tepes? Unfortunately, we don't know. The FBI hasn't made any mention of him in public, although they certainly know he exists. Just days after the shooting, somebody screenshotted Tepes' YouTube account page, despite the fact he had very few followers. To the extent that he can be traced online now, You can find his username being used on a foreign Antifa website. Those sites link him to the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated a terrorist group by the U.S. State Department. That's all we know. We do know, however, that Crooks' online footprint abruptly ends after his encounter with this mysterious figure, Willie Tepes. Regardless of whoever Willie Tepes is or was and what his motives may have been, who he may have been working for, there is no doubt that Crooks was ripe for recruitment by someone. From early 2019 to mid-2020, as his political views were evolving, Crooks searched for Trump more than 700 times online. He also searched for Jack Ruby, the man who assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald. He then submitted queries for craziest chemical reactions, cars running over protesters, best places for mass shooting El Paso, Trump Civil War, Orlando shooting reaction, firing an AR-15 as fast as possible, fertilizer bomb, how to make napalm, how to make a Molotov cocktail, mass shooting Canada, Oklahoma bombing, and sniper in Dallas shooting.
So any average person knows that if you want to draw some serious attention to yourself, search on Google how to make a pipe bomb, how to make napalm. These searches, I mean, not to be too tinfoily here, but these seem like planted searches. Like, who's going to actually search these things just openly on Google without using a VPN, without, using an anonymous IP, going to the library and using that one? Like, you're really going to search how to make a pipe bomb, how to make napalm? Like, that doesn't just seem strange to me. Who's going to be that dumb?
He also searched for American Nazi Party, German National Anthem 1933-1945, Hitler's speeches with subtitles, neo-Nazis, and, quote, why gays need to go.
Hate to brag, but we're pretty...
So, yeah, I suggest you guys watch that whole documentary because it's very interesting. Why aren't we learning more about Thomas Crooks? Let's continue with this whole Thomas Crooks saga that we got going. So this is a clip from Benny Johnson. This is Tim Burchett on with Benny Johnson. I don't know what this guy's background is, but he had some interesting things to say about MK Ultra. You guys know the MK Ultra program where they gave college students and other people, because they had the spinoff of MK Ultra, which was like Operation Midnight Climax out in San Francisco, where prostitutes gave LSD to their clients, and FBI agents or CIA agents, I believe actually, was on the other side of a two-way window, and they would just observe how they behaved. Well, yeah, they're trying to make Manchurian candidates, essentially. People that they could turn on and off, that would turn them on and go do something for them, and then turn them off, and they would have no recollection of what they just did. So that was the MK Ultra program. I'm sure it stopped, though. I'm sure they completely stopped trying to make a Manchurian candidate way back in the 60s. I'm sure none of that stuff has continued.
MK Ultra.
I'm going to talk to you. That's right. Yep.
They got sued. They said it didn't exist. And then they got sued, and they said, oh, it exists, but we don't use it anymore. So I don't believe them as far as I can throw the dome off the dadgum Capitol, Benny. You got a kid who's got access to guns or has some simple knowledge of a firearm. He was programmed. You're exactly right. They programmed this kid, and Kristi Noem and Kash and Bongino and the rest are reporting the facts as they know them. The facts have been buried or burned, or whoever knew is either sitting on a beach somewhere and enjoying a fruity drink, or they're dead. I would suggest they're probably dead. And this is what happens. You claim it doesn't. They label me and you conspiracy theorists, but this is exactly what we see happen. And it happens in Washington. It's happening now. It's too deep. It is. And that's why I said, I wish they could go in and just fire everybody and then just start back. But you can't do that because of security. You're going to fire some good people that are clearly have their thumb in the dike on terrorists or what have you. And that's where we're at. That's why Kash Patel and Bongino are having such a hard time. Kristi Noem, either way, I don't give a rip either way. But I think at their level, that's what's happened. And that's I don't care. You can call me a lunatic, but when the CIA says this thing, we don't have this thing. And then they're brought in, their asses are brought into a court of law and they say, well, we have it, but we don't use it anymore. Apparently somebody's using it. They know to contact these people. If you look at the Muslim radicals and how they recruited them, you remember they had the American Taliban or whatever, that kid they caught, and nobody talks about that anymore. Nobody even remembers it. I think his parents were Americans. They went to the Greek church or something. That kid was programmed. And you know, and you're right. They watched the crime scene. I live in Knoxville, Tennessee, brother. If there's a murder out here, our sheriff's department's got that thing blocked off. They got a tarp over it, and they've got it, you know, cleared. Nobody can get up on it. Nobody can contaminate the crime scene. This is Knox County Sheriff's Department and the city of Knoxville Police. And I guarantee you, my Blount County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Wrong, all those people always close off the crime scene. This is casebook. And also one other thing, I sponsored some legislation dealing with cremation, so I know a little bit about when they bring a body in. There are probably laws in that state that they violated because they cremated that kid, I think, pretty quick. If I'm not correct, if you might,
11 days. Yes.
Okay. And if there was an investigation going on, there's probably something in the law that says you cannot dispose of the body. And I think you're right. I think all of it was washed, it was planned, and we just got lucky. I'm very close. I'm related to a Marine sniper. And I called him after that. I said, what do you think? He said, Tim, I could have made that shot with iron sights, without a scope, with all that stuff. We just got damn lucky. God shined his favor upon us that day. If you don't believe that, I mean, the Bible talks about God knows if a sparrow falls from the sky or how many hairs are on your head. Dadgum, I believe it.
You are alleging that Thomas Crooks was groomed by some type of dark intel program, MK Ultra or otherwise, in order to commit on that day the act of an assassination.
I think so. I've said that all along. I've said that, and I'm glad somebody with Tucker's credibility, his ability to, and this my dog snores over there. Sorry for that. With his credibility has brought it out, because I yell this stuff all the time and people just, it's just birching. But look at the history. Look at where we're at in this country. Look at the deep state, the sewer as it is. And it's disgusting. And this is what happens, dude, when 12% of the population goes to the polls. They know we're so vulnerable, and we have very, very few people in the lineup that could do the damage to them like Trump. Trump's right. They're not after him. They're after us. He's just standing in the way. KO.
Yeah, but is he standing in the way anymore? That's the question. And you got to ask, is Trump's recent behavior, does it have anything to do with the fact that he barely survived an assassination attempt? Is Trump compromised, is my question. Because none of the things he's doing, aside from securing the border and what else? Like, really, what else? Like, he said he's ended a bunch of wars, but the war in Ukraine's still going on, still giving billions of dollars to Israel. We are still printing massive amounts of money. Like, what else? What are the W's? Like, really, what are the W's? Well, he ended the tariffs that he put in against beef. Like, I mean, you hear a lot of people on the right talking about these endless W's that Trump's had. What are they? I'm happy he secured the border. I'm very happy about that. But what else, you guys? Like, really, what else? What else? What other America First things is he doing? He's attacking Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, Marjorie Taylor Greene, people that are actually trying to implement America First policies. And now he's talking about how we need H-1Bs. And like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I gotta wonder, did they get to Trump somehow? So after Tucker put out this documentary, same day, FBI decides to create a FBI rapid response page, X account. Rapid Response created November 25th, 2025. I'm sorry, November 2025. They created this account the same freaking day. And the caption of Tucker's documentary says, the FBI told us Thomas Crooks tried to kill Donald Trump last summer, but somehow had no online footprint. The FBI lied, and we can prove it because we have the posts. The question is why? Story tomorrow. So just to refute what Tucker said, the FBI created an FBI Rapid Response account. They quote post this, and they say, the FBI has never said Thomas Crooks had no online footprint, ever. Well, here's Owen Schroyer right here. Owen Schroyer says, let's check the tape.
You're telling me a 20.
So they just said they've never claimed that Thomas Crooks didn't have an online footprint. Here's Owen Schroyer saying, let's check the tape.
And importantly, that his digital footprint is completely MIA, that his digital footprint is missing. And that how can a 20-year-old in today's time have no digital footprint? So do you have any thoughts on that? Any comments on that? And that'll be my last question.
Well, 4 years of doing protective intelligence investigations with the Secret Service interviewed probably hundreds of people who have credibly threatened our protectees. I've never seen anything like it. If you would have told me it was a 60-year-old guy who had lived most of his life without a computer and for the last 10 years had been planning this, hard to believe, but digestible. You're telling me a 20-year-old kid who's grown up in the digital era figured this out when he was, 13? To never get an online presence? We've seen nothing. Nothing. We're now 6 weeks in. There's not a Facebook photo. You know, it's incredible. We know every single thing about these shooting incidents when there's a political narrative to be had by the media and the other side. We do. You know who the high school girlfriend was. Sadly, you know everything about these people. We know nothing about this guy. And sophisticated explosives, we have this massive law enforcement bureaucracy. No one's got him with an online search history at a library saying, how do I build this? He's 20 years old. It just defies logic.
So we just saw his post. Now, some of you might be saying, well, this is Dan Bongino before he became deputy director of the FBI. Well, let's look at the fact check because the FBI Rapid Response gets hit.
And importantly,
they get hit with a fact check immediately. It says, on July 30th, 2024, Senate hearing, FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate disclosed a social media account believed to be associated with the shooter. Abate went on to describe a general absence of all other information to date from social media. So they had nothing on him. Let's go to Glenn Greenwald now. So Glenn Greenwald takes that same post and he just says, the FBI created a new rapid response account to respond to Tucker's reporting about all the information the FBI continues to hide about the Trump shooter Thomas Crooks, and it got a community note on its first day. Has any other account been community noted in its very first day? So, like, what is going on here? What is really going on with the Thomas Crooks situation? Trump's in office. They've got Kash Patel. They've got Dan Bongino in there in charge of the FBI. They've got Tulsi Gabbard as the DNI. Why isn't, like, if you had an assassination attempt against you and you barely survived it and you become president and now you're in control of all the intelligence agencies, are you not going to be grilling them every day about, I want everything to know about the person that tried to shoot me, everything about him. I want to know everything. But you don't even hear Trump talk about it at all anymore. Like, nothing from him. It's bizarre. Like, I'm not trying to say that Trump's trying to cover up his own assassination, but it's very strange that he's so quiet about it. And that's what makes me want to ask, did that have something to do with getting to him? Like, did somebody get in his ear and say, we won't miss next time type thing? Yeah, sure. That's like a tinfoil brain thing to say, but I can't help but thinking it. Because it's so bizarre. Everything around this shooting was so bizarre. And you heard them mention the Vegas shooting that just, remember, that whole story just disappeared. Doesn't add up. All of, like, I should do a whole episode on the Vegas shooting because that one is still off the charts bizarre. So this whole thing's just weird, you guys. It's extremely weird. All right, we're almost done here. This is the last thing I want to talk about tonight. So more about Kash Patel. Well, more about his girlfriend. this is like, to me, this is unacceptable what's happening with this. So a few weeks ago, somebody talked about Israel putting out honeypots to entrap like high-level foreign leaders or high-level foreign diplomats in order to, you know, woo them in and be honeypots, get them to do Israel's bidding, essentially. And Kash Patel Elijah Schaffer over here on X, he took that post, he quote posted it, and he didn't put any caption at all. He just put a picture of Kash Patel and his girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, above the post. So, I mean, it's obvious what he was saying there. Like, you know, Kash Patel might have got honeypotted. I mean, look at Kash Patel. He's tiny. He's got big, giant bug eyes. He's like 20 years older than her. Like, what would she have an interest in him for? I'm not saying that she was a honeypot. Don't sue me for $5 million, because that's what's happening. She decided to sue Elijah Schaffer for $5 million, his entire net worth. That's the entire valuation of his company. And it's screwed up. It is seriously screwed up that they're doing this. Like, this is lawfare. This is what the left did to Trump. This is what the left did to anybody that supported Trump. And now, because Elijah Schaffer put a quote post with no caption of just her picture and Kash Patel next to each other, now he's getting sued for $5 million. Like, really? That's where we're at now? That's what we're doing? And Elijah Schaffer was a huge supporter of Trump as well. So that's going on. Let's I'm not going to play this video because it's too long, but this is Elijah Schaffer. I'll play like the first couple of minutes of it. So not only is he being sued for $5 million, but they doxed him. They put his address on there, and his address is now all online. And he's over in, I think he's in Argentina now, or no, not Argentina, El Salvador, I think. Where's Bukele, the president of? Is that El Salvador? Someone let me know in the chat. So his house was doxed, and now he's getting all sorts of threats. So let's go to this video from Elijah Schaffer. I'll play a couple of minutes from it.
As you guys might have already heard, I am being sued for $5 million by Alexis Wilkins, the sensational country music star who's dating current FBI director Kash Patel. And unfortunately, due to this lawsuit, my family is now being threatened and our safety is on the line. Apparently, in support of Alexis Wilkins' lawsuit, individuals creating mass amounts of bot accounts have targeted my family in a mass doxing campaign, which has directly threatened the safety of myself, my wife, who is defenseless, is an Australian citizen, and also my two children who are 1 and 2.5 years old. The reason why this happened is because Alexis Wilkins, as the girlfriend of the FBI director, holds a very influential and prominent social position in this country. What I have here is one of the many doxings. What you will see and why it matters of her positioning, whether she would support this or not, I believe she would not. And I'm going to give a chance for her to publicly condemn this threat towards my ability to exist peaceably in this country. Right. You see individuals, which we've redacted here, saying things like this, including maps of where I live, directions on how to get to my house, details about my home, ways to enter into the house. Now, we've reported most of these posts. They have been taken down. Twitter has taken action. However, this is a direct result of Alexis Wilkins' lawsuit. My family is in danger because she decided to enter into lawfare. And why do I know that? I know that because in the lawsuit, she makes claims to make me appear to be a bad person. In the lawsuit, which I know was made up and built upon a sea of lies, she states that I made malicious, insidious claims against her, that I lied to hurt and defame her, that I said that she was manipulating a government official, all claims that I reject and are false. Alexis, we live in a polarizing world. Did you see what happened to Charlie Kirk when they called him a Nazi? They said, oh, it's just words. It's what doesn't really matter. But he was murdered, shot like a dog. Did you see what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania with Donald Trump after saying that he was a dictator and that he was Hitler? They tried to murder him. Thank God he's still alive, but that was actually serious.
All right, you guys get the point. So he's been doxxed. He's being sued for $5 million because, I mean, it looked like a joke to me. Like he made, like, somebody said that Israel's using honeypots to influence high-level politicians, and then he just quote posts it and puts a picture of Kash Patel next to his super hot girlfriend. Like, to me, that's a joke. I mean, it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of truth to every joke, but he didn't even put a caption. It's a funny haha. And you're going to sue him for $5 million for that? First of all, it's totally anti-free speech. And clearly, you chose the $5 million number because that's the exact valuation of his company. So you're trying to ruin him. You're trying to silence him. This is absurd. Whatever you think of Elijah Schaffer, I mean, I've had my issues, not personal, he doesn't even know I exist. But I've had my things that I disagreed with Elijah Schaffer on. If you guys don't know who Elijah Schaffer is, he used to have a really great show, him and Sydney Watson, called We Are Here, or You Are Here. And it was a really cool show. I liked watching it. It was like right smack in the middle of the pandemic. And I was watching that thing like every day. I really liked it. Him and Sydney Watson seemed to have a very good dynamic. And it was just a funny show, talked about a lot of really interesting topics. But I mean, from my understanding, Elijah Schaffer didn't treat Sydney Watson too well in the background. That's neither here nor there. Whatever you think about him, having the director of the FBI's girlfriend sue you for $5 million for making a joke on the internet, that's where we're at now. That's what we're supporting. And you don't hear the right being outraged about this at all, probably because Elijah Schaffer is one of the America First people that it's okay to cancel him. He's not allowed in the big tent. This shit's ridiculous. It's absurd. And I'm not liking the direction this whole MAGA movement has seemed to veer off course into, like, now we're into doxing people. Now we're into suing people for making jokes on the internet. Is that what we're about now, guys? I'm not down with this. I'm not down with any of this. I'm not down with attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm not down with attacking Thomas Massie or Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or anybody else. Like, what is going on here? Talk about, like, all these people, the people that are doing all the attacking are talking about how they're ruining the party and they're jeopardizing the midterms. No, you are. You're the one attacking people that heavily supported Trump, the people that actually pushed Trump over the hump, people that aren't necessarily hardcore Republicans, libertarians, disaffected liberals, America First people. They're the ones that supported Trump because he thought he was going to actually behave differently than the neocons of the past. Now he's just another Jeb Bush. What the fuck is going on? I'm not down with any of this shit, you guys. I'm not. I'm done. I'm done with all of it. So you're going to see me losing followers because I'm going to be heavily criticizing Trump in the future. If he does something good, I'll say, great. Good job. Great job, Trump. Good move. If he does something bad, I'm going to say, boo. Bad move. Boo Trump. And that's what I think everybody should be doing. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to hold the people that we voted for to account. We're supposed to hold them to what they campaigned on. And I'm not getting any of the things that I wanted to get. Why don't we know about Thomas Crooks? Why don't we have the Epstein Files released? Why is Elijah Schaffer getting doxxed and sued for $5 million? What the fuck is going on? Why are we here? That's it. That's kind of all I got. Thanks, Boss Tina. That's for Yes El Salvador. Thanks for watching too. Wally World, Josh Pitts, Eric, Symbolic T. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. If you guys enjoyed the stream, like, subscribe, repost, tell your friends. I'm really actually trying to build my YouTube account. It's tiny. I do all this for free. I'm not even monetized on YouTube. I just do this for fun. I do this because it's all I can think to do. Yeah, that's it. I really appreciate all you guys for being here. I really do. It means a lot that you'll listen to me just rant and rave on the internet. But these are issues that I think that all of us should be talking about and talking about openly, not being all tribalistic about it. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Pretty much right where I wanted to end, about an hour and a half. So, yeah, that is all I got for tonight. Again, thank you guys all for being here. You know how we do it. Before we get out of here, we got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. You know the rules. I open the page. I open the book to a random page. My eyes hit a joke, and I read the joke. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not. Here's the Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Bill Gates lives on a constant fear that Chuck Norris's PC will crash. And on that note, stay CaliBased. I scared my dog.